After my brief stint in Louisiana, I received a curious missive from an anonymous source. A small parcel containing a simple invitation was wrapped inside clipped articles from various newspapers. The invitation's brevity, combined with the grim nature of the headlines, suggested something quite ominous transpiring again on the coast of England. I swore to myself I would never visit that place near the cliffs. I have no wish to look upon its burned shell and remind myself of the horrors beneath it. Yet here I stand in Blackpool, preparing once more to return to these haunted grounds, and hopefully survive long enough to tell the tale of my escape from Ravenhurst. Upon my arrival at the manor gates, I stepped from my vehicle into a large puddle born from the chilly autumn rain. A quick flash of gold near a storm grating caught my attention, and I reached down to collect a locket that once belonged to a woman whose spirit I wrestled from this awful place. Just then the locket's owner and manor's namesake appeared before me, and delivered a warning that caused the hairs on my arm to rise. Emma's ghost advised me to leave Blackpool before I met her fate. Upon refusing, she offered to follow and assist me by altering the appearance of objects that might aid in my investigation. After some hesitation, I paused, looked around, and finally collected the objects she affected. True to her word, Emma's locket suddenly burst open with a flash of ghostly energy, drawing my attention to a nearby lantern. When I looked again, she was gone. The creepiness of this place is not diminished since my last visit. A small, dilapidated cottage, once inhabited by the son of my nemesis, Charles, barely remains standing. It was here that I was abducted by Charles and his son, Victor, before I thwarted their attempts to imprison the souls of 2 little girls and their mother inside caves beneath the manor. A small box secured with a custom lock appears to be a new addition, but its owner and contents will presently remain a mystery while I can find a way to get it unlocked. I came across some familiar fixtures under a bridge outside the manor. The remains of an old whack-a-troll machine have been discarded and left to rot beside a shallow stream. Upon inspecting the machine, Emma's locket sprung open to offer ghostly assistance. Sure enough, after locating clues left by my otherworldly helpers, the game machine briefly came to life, knocking over a bucket that contained a rag I may have to use for later. There's also an abandoned stove here, but when I tried to look inside, I found its door rusted shut. I should find something to pry it open. Given the amount of property damage I've inflicted here in the past, I didn't hesitate to wrap a chain around the manor gates and attach it to my car. Perhaps in hindsight I should have opted to find another way, and since I've almost certainly overheated the engine, to say nothing of the sign impaled of my windshield. The steps leading to Ravenhurst Manor lie before me, and I can make out the charred silhouette of the once opulent Victorian home. Ethereal voices of the souls I've saved continue to discourage my investigation. I get the impression they know something I do not, but I need to learn more about who requested my presence and why. After much effort locating and retrieving the lighthouse key, I finally gained access to the base of the watchful tower. Unfortunately, darkness within the entry hinders further exploration of the structure. The irony of needing light to see inside a lighthouse would be mildly amusing if I wasn't soaking wet from the autumn storm. Through feeling around in the dark and using the occasional flicker of lightning as a guide, I have managed to locate an old stove that might help illuminate the room. I'll need a way to get the fire started, but the heat might dry out my soiled clothing. My trespassing and subsequent tinkering within the lighthouse has led to an unexpected setback. It seems my tampering with the controls has caused some kind of power malfunction that knocked out the main light. I remember seeing an electrical box on my way here. I should have a look to see if I can remedy this situation. It's only a matter of time before the disabled beacon draws unwanted attention to my investigation. Charles Dolomere. I should have known my arch-nemesis was at the root of this investigation. He managed to lure me and the ghosts of his family back into his nest of horror beneath Ravenhurst Manor. Because of me, Emma, Rose, and her 2 daughters are now trapped within large, fluid-filled cylinders at the end of a massive underground complex. I fear my only hope for survival is to learn the rules of my captor's twisted game. What does he mean by better understand me? And what of the Blackpool disappearances? I have little choice but to move forward, though I can't imagine what evil lies before me. A small package containing a note and key welcomes me once more to the hollowed-out space beneath Ravenhurst Manor. After hesitantly following the note's instruction, I approached the only door in the room and inserted the key into the lock. A quick series of rattles within the door proceeded to release the spring-loaded arms containing curious, glass tokens etched with a bit of cryptic imagery. Upon closer inspection, the images on the tokens appeared to match detailing within the chamber. I'm curious to see what happens if I hold the tokens in front of the room's matching designs. I find myself gazing at the facade of a hospital within an enormous cavern. The voice of Charles Dolomier echoes from a small speaker, welcoming me to a fabricated structure meant to represent his birthplace. The institution's entrance is blocked by one of his eccentric locks, consisting of a series of small, handmade clocks. The dull roar of machinery is occasionally punctuated by heavy rocks slamming down around me, forcing me to dance wildly to avoid being pulverized. To say my captor has gone out of his way to create these disturbing scenarios would be quite the understatement. Not only are the rooms in this place fashioned to exacting detail, they're also populated with mechanized figures that help make the illusion even more real. For instance, the robotic effigy of a surgeon springs to life whenever I go near it. I can make out something sewn into his gown, but there must be some kind of sound sensor that allows him to hear me approach. I need to take a closer look without being stabbed by that scalpel. A key acquired in the operating room appeared to match one of the keyholes in the room where my ghostly assistants are trapped. Upon inserting the key, a series of metal arms snapped out, revealing a collection of tokens similar to those discovered when I first fell down here. I'm anxious to see what might happen if I collect the tokens and hold them in front of the objects represented in each photo. My captor seems intent on making sure I examine each facet of his twisted scenarios. This bizarre complex must be filled with hidden cameras as my enslaver appears to be closely tracking my movements. A series of speakers and video monitors have been installed so he can relay taunts and twisted thoughts as I struggle to find a way out. One deranged tirade was just delivered on the joys of giving and taking human life. I don't fully understand his goal by trapping me here, but he is clearly delighted by playing God and watching me squirm. My worst nightmares don't hold a candle to the appalling scenarios I continue to encounter in this awful place. Mechanical doctors, nurses, and patients are now superseded by pregnant mannequins with dolls representing their lifeless offspring. As if the horror before me wasn't frightening enough, I've discovered the bellies of the life-size figures can be manipulated with the touch of my hand. This entire place is one eccentric and thoroughly disturbing puzzle. I hope I can live long enough to solve it. Little by little, I continue to unlock the abominations crafted by the unbalanced mind of Charles Dolomier. The man who enslaved Rose, Emma, and the twins now directs his madness towards me, the rat, in this horrific maze. I fear the hospital is only the beginning of my trials, and refuse to give pause to imagine what terrors lie ahead. I can't help but feel guilty for the fate that's befallen the souls who followed me here. Without their help, I don't think I would have made it this far. Yet I should have heeded their warnings and left when I had the chance.